Well, here's a review of my PCP portable air compressor I got. Pre-compressed pneumatic air compressor. Instructions here are a little bit inadequate. It does talk about power supply. Let's talk about to start with. This one has a standard 120 volt USA kind of plug. It's set for 120 volt now. On the bottom of the unit though, there is a switch that you can switch to 240. So that's an option if you have it. Also included is a 12 volt car power supply cable. It plugs in the back of the unit using this style of plug here. Plugs right back in the back. The length of time that this takes to compress using a battery probably wouldn't be a good idea because it takes so long. It'd be a huge battery for it to power up for as long as it needs to be. The manual talks about the filter system here, and this is the only mention of the filter system. Here's the filter system right here. This, as the pictures show, you put the filter on the output of the compressor. This is the output of the compressor, and it doesn't say anything about it, but in the supplies that it comes with these filters, but you wouldn't know where to put them unless you've seen this before. Spin that apart counterclockwise this way, those two unthread, and down inside here is where the filter element is. To get that out, I took a pair of tweezers, and you can pull that out of there. And so you would look at that, it's not going to look dirty because the pumping is coming from this way in. So the dirt is going to be on this end of it or the other end of this, and so it won't look dirty. Unless I suppose it's completely dirty. So you can screw this back together. This seems like the front of the unit right here because you got the output, you have your bleed valve, and then you have this thing right here. This is an emergency, what do they call it? I'd call it like a pop-off valve for a compressor, but it's pressure protection valve. That's what it's called. So here's the only thing that isn't in the whole manual that talks about that. The protection valve points to it. Well, in the supply package, you have these little burst discs. These are things that blow out if you mess up and take the compressor way above specs that it's supposed to deal with. This blows out and lets the pressure out. Luckily, I've never had one blow out, so I don't know what they sound like, but I highly suggest that you don't turn the gauges up too high or the controls up too high and blow anything up because these high pressures are dangerous. A little bit more about the bleed valve. This, when you have the line pressurized here, the quick connects would not be a good idea to go pulling them off with high pressures, possibly in the thousands. So you open up the bleed valve and bleed the pressure down safely before you disconnect any disconnect lines. Well, I still got the manual here talking about that. Something's a little bit disconcerting about this is that there's 8 pages of the first of the manual that roughly go over the operation of it. But the whole last part of the manual, 10 to 12 pages worth, is how to rebuild it when you need to service it. Here in the manual it talks about after 20 hours or 50 pieces of filling bottles, so I don't know how much that is, 20 hours of running, it sounds like a lot of, or 20, yeah, a lot of running. It comes with a bunch of O-rings to rebuild everything, and the whole last half of the manual is how to completely disassemble it and tear it completely apart and rebuild the whole thing. I don't know, it'd be like the manual on your car having more than half the manual on how to rebuild the engine. I don't really want to ever rebuild the engine, so it kind of bothers me that this needs to be rebuilt that soon. Hope they don't read my critique and just take out the whole back half of the manual so it's not there anymore, because it probably will be useful for somebody. For initial test here, what I'm going to do is put on the hose onto the port. It locks on like any quick connect air fitting, and it comes with a dummy plug here that goes in it, and that will not take very long to fill up. and we'll plug it in and take it up to a certain pressure. Now here's the top of the unit. This is the pressure gauge that shows you what the pressure is, and also the same switch that turns the compressor on and off. Now I've seen one like this before, and I don't like them very much. They're not very accurate. I don't know where other ones may have gauges and something a little bit more. But here's 0, and there's 1,000. So that is how much the difference is between 0 and 1,000 PSI. So I'm going to set this to something low. I'm guessing somewhere in the 100, 200, 300 range. And that's about as close as I can get. If you have to move this and reset it back to the same setting, you're only going to be plus or minus a couple hundred from where you were. That's about as close as you can get. Now, when I plug this in, using the plug-in, the fans are going to start to come on. I'm hearing at least 2 fans, and it's rather noisy. Okay, I just plugged it in. So this is the temperature gauge down here. So fan 1 and then fan 2. Now I set the temperature, or the pressure here, some pressure. All right, then down here, this is the compressor on button. You don't have a switch for fans. Fans are just on when it's plugged in. I will turn this on now. So it's pumping up. So it didn't take very long to pump up just this little hose up to, let's see. So I tried to put it around the 300, and it looks to be over halfway to 1,000. So I would say it's more in the 600 range. So that's all that more accurate I could get. 25.7 is the temperature, I assume centigrade. A lot of the manual is dedicated to the temperature gauge and shutting off automatically after 30 minutes. And if it overheats, it's going to shut off, and you got to let the fans run. We got to turn the compressor off and let the fans run and cool it down. So overheating of these type of compressors is a problem. That much compressing is generating a lot of heat. So here's a demonstration of the pressure relief valve, or knob. It's setting at the 600. This cable here is rather tight. I can't spin the quick releases because it's under 600 pounds of pressure. So we'll turn the knob. There we go. So it let out that pressure. There's not much air in that line. So it was 600, but it was very little mass. So now we have a real world test. I set this gauge about as low as it can go, so it doesn't take too long. This would, half hour or something like that, or maybe more to fill up. So here I have a CO2, what was a paintball tank, and I'm going to put it on there. I bought this aftermarket adapter here to go on the CO2 tank. So here's the hose. I'm going to click on my quick connect. I removed the plug on it. So let's see, I can open this up, and that's going to allow the gases into the tank here. Okay, now I'm going to plug it in. You'll hear the fans come on again. Like I said, no switch for the fans. They just come on automatically. Okay, that engine is starting. Sounds like anyway. Okay, so here's the compressor button. I'm going to start the compressor. Temperature display. So this is not moving yet. Okay, I stopped the video for about a minute and a half. The needle just started to move off of the resting point. The tank is getting slightly warm. It's probably up to a couple hundred pounds now, I would guess. The needle's almost moving to the There it is. That's the lowest setting I could set this for, and it still took about 2 minutes to get there. So the compressor runs for quite a while to pump up anything, so this has been a fast process. I don't know what E4 means. I don't see anything in the manual about that. It started at 12, got up to 27. I don't remember reading the maximum temps before it cuts out. But, sorry, unplug the unit. Fans are off. So the quick connects here spin a little bit. So other than unlike the 600 pounds that had one before that locked these things solid, this does not have anything like the 600 pounds on it. I turn the valve off here. I'm going to bleed out the amount in the hose. There, that was the hose itself that bled out. Now the hose is empty. Now I can remove this quick connect off the tank. And my tank was totally empty before, and now it has, I guess it has probably a couple hundred pounds. It has more pressure than I can stop by putting my finger on it, which that's obviously a few hundred pounds then. So, a couple hundred pounds, a couple minutes, or minute, 2 minutes, 200 pounds. I don't know. For this size tank, what is this? 12-ounce tank. I don't know how many milliliter that is. But that's the unit working. It takes time to fill everything up. And so I hope this video helps you. I feel like I should say one more cautionary thing. This does advertise that it'll go to 4,500 PSI. And this unit here is only rated at 3. And I don't think this tank will go to 45. So be careful of your pressures. This thing is capable of probably blowing things up that you have, and that would be serious. So take care.
Also the condensate drain, you know, if you're running it in humidity, you're going to have a little bit of water come out of there, but that's no biggie. It does run off 12 volt, but currently we're using household, so we don't need that. It's just your standard XT60 connector and some clamps. So if you're out and don't have access to 110, there you go. It's a really, really, really strong fan on this thing to keep it cool. Pumping up such high pressure, you almost have to have a good fan. It does have a temperature gauge, so you don't have to worry about if it's getting too hot or not. You can just look right at it. It'll tell you. This is your compressor on-off button. When you plug it in, the fan automatically starts. Now, the fan is a little loud, but I'd rather have it loud and cool than hot. On this side, you see your specs. 300 watt motor, your circuit breaker switch, 12 volt power, and your input power. Alright, so let's get this thing filling up a tank, see how long it takes. Okay, so we're going to be filling a GOYOJO 0.5 liter 3000 PSI pony bottle. We're going to set up a timer, see how long it takes. I'm guessing around 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll let that run. And I will warn you, it is going to get a bit loud because of the fan. I will turn the volume down on the video and do a cut. And we'll see you when it's filled. Well, as you can see, it took about 17 minutes. That was from 0 PSI to 3000 PSI. We're gonna bleed the air out of this and be ready to unhook and use it. So much better than a hand pump. Now, Now with a hand pump, I can do this in about 20-25 minutes, but it's a workout. You know, it's great if you don't have any other options. It's handy, but this is the way to go. You can keep filling these things up all day long, one after the other. I definitely recommend you get one of these if you need to fill scuba tanks, any type of compressed air tanks up to 4,500 PSI. Even if you've got PCP air rifles, you know, that'd be great for that. I know I used to have one and used a hand pump, and it took a while, but this would make it a lot handier. All in all, I'm really happy with this unit. I recommend it to anybody. Thanks for watching.